Hello everyone, I'm Brian and I'm here to talk about my Game 7 Tau versus Chaos Space Marine. So this is deployment. We had the deployment where up to halfway of the board all the way down to the corner was our deployment zone. His was all the way from this corner to that halfway of the board. This is my Anva, forward deployed because you'll see on the other end there's only like one enemy over here. So I thought he could push and hold the objective. Got two-man squads of broadsides. Got my Krutox, my Ethereal, Solo, and my Kroot Hounds. I decided to try them out since I made room for them. I have my Shadow Sun and my Crisis Suit. I have two squads of Crisis Suit. All of them have shield generators, and all of them have two shield drones, and all of them have 3 plasma rifles. The reason why she's out here is she got the 6-inch aura that will give rerolls once to hit for my Crisis Suit and for my broadsides. Anva, my stealth suits for deploy, touching that objective. My 2 squads of broadsides with seeker missiles, weapon support systems so they could ignore hit modifiers. Krutox for holding objectives, my Ethereal just to give me some CP, I hope, and Kroot Hounds to do actions if needed. My marksman, firesight marksman, I can't remember what they're called, again for holding objectives, solo if I ever need him to do actions and stuff, although he's in the wrong position for that. So over here, I forward deployed this because of the line is actually behind them. I have my Krutox over here to scout up to that objective, and they're there to also provide objective support as well as any kind of spotting. These are my reserves, led by a Crisis Commander again, but this time the Crisis Commander has I think it's maybe, I can't remember if I ran it with 4 plasmas or 3 plasmas. I think it's 3 plasmas with my Crisis Commander, 2 shield drones as well. Again, no battle support system and no weapon support system because I decided that I will try out without those things. Oh, I did have some Tetras in here. I forgot they were hidden. 2 Tetras, so that if my Crisis Suit did get into close combat, they can give them full rerolls to hit. And with plasmas, generally speaking, I have a better chance of wounding. Here's my opponents. He's playing Chaos Space Marine, Terminator Squad led by Abaddon. I don't know what that Rhino is actually one of these things. He's substituting it in because he didn't have another one. And the bane of my existence, I will say, is these guys right here. Again, I forgot what they're called, but they're toughness 5, 5 up invul, and 6 feel no pain because of the master of possession. Oh, possessed Chaos Space Marines. That's right. That's what they are. Then he had this little spider thing. Good luck, guys. So that's deployment for mine and my opponent, and I went first. Oh, and he's going to show us his 2 reserves, which are 2 squads of 2 obliterators. Alright, this is at the end of my turn 1. My Crisis stealth suits over here stayed where they're at because they're touching an objective. Anva moved forward. I moved up my 2 broadsides, got these guys in the positions. My Tetras flew out over here to get into a better position. My Crisis stayed in cover. All first floor is considered to be sealed, so you cannot shoot in or out of it. Can't shoot as possessed. I did step up on this ledge to shoot at his Terminators because a freaking sword was sticking out, but he told me no. He told me no because of the Nurgle ability that says if they have the Nurgle mark, they have stealth as well as lone operative for the entire unit, which kind of sucks. Now I exposed my Crisis Suits. I'm sorry, my broadsides over here. I didn't expose them just yet. The reason why I wanted my broadsides to get in position as well is so that they can get that heavy benefit. Move the Krutox up. And there's my opponent. He was well hidden, so I really couldn't shoot at much, but I did get my broadsides in position for his movement. Stealth suits. This is the end of his movement, or I'm sorry, end of his turn. The last one was the end of my turn. This is the end of his turn. So this is essentially the end of turn 1. He moved a lot of his units, his Abaddon with his Terminators. I can't remember what those things are called. They moved those all around. Let's see what the damage was. And here's where the damage is. So he was really targeting my broadsides. I had 2 different squads. This broadside, I believe, only has 4 wounds left. Whatever those big things are, one is over here, one over here, and one at the right end. He focused fired on my broadsides. And then over here, he moved this. Sorry, again, I don't know what these things are called. He moved it out and shot my bodyguards. I did have the 2-up invols, but I still failed it. Got 4 wounds left, and the yellow dice are the number of seeker missiles left. So I lost a broadside and lost a seeker missile before I could even really fire at anything. And these guys, whoo, man, they are a pain. Alright, this is the end of my turn 2. So I moved this guy's back so I can get better spots. As you can see, well, that guy is still chilling right there. I moved my Tetras just in case I need to provide a little bit more support for holding objectives over here. Should I be able to clear this out or move them out? My first squad of crisis suits over here shot at them. So we will say that out of, let's see, 3 times 6 is 18. 12 plasma shots. 12 plasma shots, hit and wound, by the way. So 12 out of 18. He saved 7 of them on a 5+, and did some feel no pains to the point where only 2 died. 12 plasma shot, guys. 12 plasma shots. And as you can see as well, the Rhino is gone. I mean, it was meant to be one of these things. I shot it with my broadsides. I started repositioning because of these guys coming in close. I was expecting him to charge my crisis suits, and my crisis should be able to survive it. I moved them back because he was significant. Obviously, this thing's a toughness 3 thing, marksman. He is not going to survive any kind of melee combat. Well, none of really Taos do, but some can take it more than others. So I spread out my little doggies over here to screen out any kind of deep strike behind me. And I brought them in on turn 2 to provide some more support to apply pressure this way. And as you can see, the little spider thing is now gone. Sayonara. Obliterators are still in deep strike. On that objective in a stealth suit. Alright, this is the end of my opponent turn 2. He took the objective. Abaddon leading his squad of Termes and that thing, and what the heck happened here? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how beast those things were, and even with a 6+ field no plane and 4-up invul, my squad got decimated. We can see that he deep strike 1 of the obliterators over here, and I think he deep strike 1 over here as well. And these are again into positions where I need them to spot for my broadsides and my last remaining crisis suit squad. Yeah, they smash hard. I think those should have been my primary target. And also, again, with those big guys, what's left destroyed my last my 1 squad of broadsides and wounded my other broadsides. These guys are just still in position to do whatever objectives I need. My crisis team is still sitting over there, and there's the obliterators. The second one is deep stroke. Every time I try to target this model here, he kept doing that Nurgle thing that says, no, you can't shoot it, he has lone operative, which was very painful as a shooting army. So this is at the end of my turn 3. I kept trying to destroy this guy because he has a lot of shots. His Abaddon unit wasn't really doing too much. I tried to shoot it with my broadsides. It failed quite a bit. So again, I have this unit over here just in case for actions. Move them back, and my Tetras and my Stealth Suit was going to do the exact same thing. Broadside still barely alive. I was forming a wall over here just in case he, whenever he comes into charge, to protect Shadowsun. Over here you can see that I blew up the obliterators, and now I'm moving out these guys so I can spot for my broadsides against them to reroll ones to wound. But again, he keeps doing the Nurgle ability on this one to keep it alive and untargetable, so this was kind of a waste. Anva, I died because he had Assassinate as one of his tactical missions. We both had tactical, and Anva, unluckily enough, suffered. Alright, this is the end of my opponent turn 3. He left this this unit alone here because he is not a threat. Although he should have killed it, because in one of the secondary objectives, I got some cleanse the objective, and guess what he scored for me? I still didn't get anything in the corner. I kept them back here because I didn't want it to be targeted by Abaddon, or that guy, or those guys. I still need spotters, and I still need something to capture corner objectives if that should come up. And so the the possessed group destroyed the marksman and the Krutox, but amazingly didn't charge my ethereal. And then I still had those guys up there. They didn't charge them as well. So I really, obviously this is the end of his turn. He was at the bottom of the round, haven't had a chance to move them. Nothing really happened to these guys in the shooting phase. His primary concern was my broadsides with those two big guys, and my broadsides was concerned with this guy or that guy, but it kept doing the Nurgle ability or stratagem on it where it makes it lone operative. Alright, now the end of my turn 4. Is Krutox still alive? Like a boss? Eventually, I think I'll die. And then I pushed the dogs over here to do an additional screen to protect Shadowsun. Poor dogs. I think I did blast a few of the units away. So I ended up shooting with Shadowsun into those things. And again, my broadside was still focused on these big guys, on him in particular. Because again, we're essentially with broadsides in that thing, we're fighting each other and trying to keep Shadowsun alive here. I did move my Crisis Suit out to try to push. The problem was they were in here, and to fly over this thing and to come down, I couldn't do it, not enough movement. So this is where a Cold Star would have definitely made it no problem. But instead I had to kind of come around, which would have pushed me a little bit further anyway. That way I didn't have to fly up. And then I tried to shoot the obliterators over here with my Crisis. I did have the range, but he gave the Nurgle ability over here, because the unit that was over here moved. So as you can see, I had one guy up here. We can see out. The guys below cannot see in or out. But should he kill one, I would remove this. That way they are protected, and I can, in the next turn, move one up again to spot. So there it is. It was over here where I was able to shoot it, but he moved it over here so that my broadsides could not shoot it. Alright, this is the end of turn 4 of my opponent. As you can see here, so much for that Krutox and my Stealth Suit over here. He shot my Stealth Suit up and then charged the Krutox. Poor Krutox survived all this time, moving this thing forward. Nothing else over here. The Obliterators did scoot back, I think, so that he could shoot at my broadsides along with that. And now the doggies were dead. Poor doggies, but they did their job in screening for Shadowsun. And that's about it. He moved that back to shoot at, I believe, my Crisis Suit or broadsides. Alright, this is the end of my turn 5. Abaddon sitting on the objective over here. And then my Crisis, what I end up doing is I end up moving forward as close as I can, then shooting the Obliterators, and then using 2 CP to move, shoot, and move. So I moved forward, shot, then moved on to the objective. And then as you can see, the possessed over here were annihilated by both the broadsides and Shadowsun. Yeah, I should have knocked them out first. They were the most threatening at the time because of 5-up invul. Amazingly, the guy was rolling pretty good for that. But in terms of whenever I scored mortal wounds, it really ate through them because of 6+ feel no pain. Shadowsun's still alive. Still holding that objective, and now that objective. And this is essentially the end of my opponent's turn 5 and end of game. Let's see what has happened here. Yeah. He tried to shoot at my broadsides and blew himself up with Hazardous. That's why you don't see it there. It wasn't me. And then he decided to move this back and shoot at my Crisis team here. As you can see, there's a wound. He only has 2 wounds left, but it's still a full squad. And that unit's still spotting for him. Alright, so to kind of go over what happened in this match. I wasn't using my CP very well. That's a lesson learned. I need to start doing more Overwatches. I had too much at the end. I just keep forgetting about it. It tends to happen in my games. So, mind you, I'm not playing at the best. I keep forgetting Overwatch. Crazy. I do remember certain stratagems and certain rerolls, but I know I do the stim injections for my battle suit. That always, whenever he targets a important unit in my army, broadsides or my Crisis suits. Next thing was those possessed were really mean. They took out my Crisis suit in one melee combat phase. Good lord, it was like 58 wounds and maybe additional some odd mortal wounds. I just couldn't do it with a 4-up invul and a 6+ feel no pain. I will say at dice rolls, I was rolling average to slightly below average this game. My opponent started off rolling hot in turn 1, then rolling about average. And what I mean by turn 1, I meant those possessed that ate 12 plasma shots and only 2 died. That was some hot rolls. Passed so much of it. So turn 1, 2, he was rolling really hot, even though there's not too much action going on. And then rolled about average, then slightly below average at the end of the game. I was rolling between average and slightly below average. And what I mean by this, I was rolling average is 4+ and 3 and below. Not pass or fails, just if most of my dice rolls was 4+, then that's above average, or 1, 2, 3, that's below average, regardless whether it passed or failed. Again, because I have a 4-up invul anyway, so I was actually failing those pretty bad with the initial Crisis team that was right here. I should have prioritized target the possess because they hurt more than the Terminator squad over here. Both me and my opponent kind of had some useless units. I'd say this Crisis team wasn't necessarily useless, but it was useless. It did take out a crawler and 4 obliterators, but a little too late because of the Nurgle ability. That's what kind of made them useless. It's not that the fact they were necessarily in bad positions, but against that Nurgle ability, they were in very much bad positions. His useless unit was the Terminators with Abaddon because they essentially fought a Krutox and shot up a stealth team. That's all they did. This entire he was giving out certain things, but in terms of the unit itself, didn't really do much. You know, these things were a pain initially. They almost wiped out a broadside team. It took two turns to knock them out. So they were really hurting really bad. When I knocked one out, that was great. It alleviated some of the pains of going through my broadside. I was trying to take out this one. He kept saying no with the Nurgle ability, so it retargeted the other one, and I was rolling pretty crappy. And he rolled pretty well on the saves. Stealth, the Crisis 2 team over here didn't do so well. It died on turn 2 essentially because of the painful possessed. Then my Crisis 2 team came over here, saved that spot, so it allowed me to hold it uncontested with my stealth team. So now my Crisis 2 can advance over here to start pushing out other units, but it was already too late. So I was really thinking about Cold Star. Cold Stars, I think, in my opinion, would be more friendly in terms if you have bad positioning. Which, because of the Nurgle ability, I was in a lot of times in a bad position. I should have had them in a little bit different, maybe a little bit closer, but due to the building rules, I wanted to make sure those obliterators were removed, so I had to position them kind of far back. And then instead of moving forward, I should have moved this way. So I was bad positioning with these guys in terms of me and in terms of my opponent. Again, for him as well, it's over here. What else? My broadside, I think, did very well. I should have targeted the possessed with them because they essentially wiped them out once they got that devastating wounds. My Crisis team, I just keep talking about them because they just died so fast. It was just unbelievably fast how fast they died. So fast, I blunked and they were gone. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. Other than me having to force myself to use CP, and then to use the move, shoot, move to gain more movement, especially with a Crisis Commander, to get into better positions as opposed to move, shoot, and hide. My team is more of move, shoot, and get into a better position, even if you were to get shot at the moment. I can't hide with this squad because they're not very mobile like a Crisis Cold Star. So, but I still want that rerolls of 1. That's the reason why I will still stick with a Crisis Commander, because that squad will not be near a Shadow Sun. The Shadow Sun will be next to the other Crisis suit as well as the broadsides. I think I had plenty of objective holding units. The 2 Krutox and the holding objectives, the Ethereal to hold objectives, and also the Kroot Hounds for doing action objectives, like, you know, holding a table quarter or performing an action on the objective itself. I think I had plenty of that. I was so comfortable with them just sitting there doing nothing because their points costs are so low that essentially 100 points for 3 units. 2 of them can hold objectives, and 1 of them can perform. All 3 of them can perform actions, but 2 of them can hold objectives. The 2 Krutogs that have 35 points apiece, that's 70 points. And then the Kroot Hounds, which is 30 points, can do mission objectives on the corner. My stealth team could do that as well if need be, or my stealth team could move up to the objectives in this corner right here. I had the 3-man squad of stealth teams and the Krutogs. I was moving the stealth team back so I can guide them, but if need be, I can move the stealth team up here, pop 1 on top so they can see out and still spot, and the Krutogs can move back to perform an action. Krutogs has a 7-inch movement, which is good enough to get to that far corner. He can't advance and perform an action because he does not have an assault weapon. The Kroot Hounds do serve 2 purposes in this mission, or in this army list, as a screener to prevent deep striking and perform actions, and as you can see, as sacrificial lambs for those possessed, which amazingly did its job. I don't know what else to really say. I really did like this list a lot. bad positioning, not using my command points. But outside of that, even forgetting my command points, had he not had that Nurgle ability, I think I could have done a bit better. And with better positioning, I think I could have won. I was just a bad positioning, even without using my CP in Overwatch. I think well, at least in terms of Overwatch CP, but you know, the stim injection was a mandatory, even though I wasn't really rolling them very well. But still, I do remember that, and I do save it for that. It's something that I can do on the shooting phase and on the fight phase. So I can do it twice. That's the reason why I was saving my CP, but I oversaved at this moment. But I think I could have won this match. The final score was like 93 to 77. It's because of the first few rounds, well, since round 2, he held his objective, and I could not push forward. Because my crisis suit, my over here got annihilated that round, and the fact that I could not shoot anything round 1 because of anything that was exposed. He gave that Nurgle ability, says that you can't shoot them. So that really hurt me, even though I did still want to put him in position to test out to see how his army acted. I don't know what this squad does. It's a Terminator squad. I don't know how well it could handle all the plasma shots. Although, no, if he were to fail, it'd probably be dead, maybe. Again, it didn't really do very much. This thing was a pain in the butt, but not necessarily too difficult to remove from play. But with the Nurgle ability, it was very difficult. My initial plan was in fact to push this edge and to come over this way, which is what I was trying to do. But whenever I was coming this way, he was coming this way, so I had to redirect my crisis back around to cover my home objectives, to keep Shadowsun alive and my broadsides to continue to fight the long-range battle. Again, I came in a little too late to score more points. There were a few secondary objectives which was just something I could not score, like holding his objective on turn 1 or 2, which was not going to happen this Tau. What else? There are a few other secondaries that I just could not complete with the conditions that I had in the battlefield. But other than that, I think that's it. I really like this list. I have many objective units just for objective purposes. Krootox, Kroothounds, Stealth Team if I need to. And then I have stationary threatening things that he has to prioritize target, which was my crisis suit and my broadsides. And then I had a threat that was in Deep Strike that he didn't know where I was going to deploy it at. So that kept him kind of wondering, and hopefully was not making them push forward too much. And also I deployed him over here too to kind of handle the possess, but I went over this way initially. And then I had struggled to come back over here to provide more assistance because movement was lacking. Anyways, that's it for my Game 7 against Chaos Space Marine. It was a very interesting one. I definitely want a rematch. I think I could win against it. I was doing fairly decent, just bad plays on my part, positioning, CP rolls again. I keep repeating that. And then I think that's about it. Honestly, so long as he doesn't roll super hot and I roll slightly below average to average, I think I could have pulled it off, or maybe at the very least probably close that gap of the points. Anyways, that's my Game 7. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.